Don't let her touch the rifle. She's only here for water and rope. The whole group laughed. She stayed silent, continuing to check her medical pack. 40 minutes later, the patrol walked into a narrow canyon and came under fire from the opposite cliff. A single shot from the support position dropped the sniper. The team leader whispered, "Who just fired?" The answer, the water girl. Clara Weiss, 33 years old, Austrian, pale skin, light brown hair, compact build, quiet, worked as technical support for the mountain patrol team covering the northern border. Position, logistical support on mountain routes, responsible for water supplies, climbing ropes, medical equipment, and checking backpack weight distribution. She wasn't part of the main squad, didn't carry combat weapons, only wore the mandatory personal sidearm. The team called her the second pack carrier. One soldier said, "Does she think she's a real soldier? Like some kind of Girl Scout playing war games?" Clara just smiled quietly and checked her rope connections. Every morning, she would wake up early to clean the practice scopes, even though nobody asked her to. During target practice training, she would stand outside observing. Nobody invited her to shoot. A corporal once said, "I bet she wouldn't even dare pull the trigger for real." The other team members treated her like equipment, necessary, but not really part of the squad. During briefings, they would talk around her, not to her. "Clara, you'll stay 50 meters behind with the backup water and first aid. Clara, if anyone gets injured, that's your job. Clara, don't slow us down trying to keep up." She never complained, never argued, never asked for a different role. But every evening, when the others were playing cards or cleaning their rifles, Clara would sit alone, reading topographical maps by flashlight, studying wind patterns, making notes about elevation changes and sight lines. The team assumed she was just being thorough about their route planning. They had no idea what she was really preparing for. During equipment checks, she would handle her sidearm with a precision that seemed unusual for someone in a support role, but the others were too busy with their own gear to notice. "Hey, Clara, you sure you know how to use that thing?" someone would joke. "Safety first," she would reply with a small smile. They laughed, thinking she was just being overly cautious. "I didn't come here to shoot every day. I just need to know. If the moment comes when I have to shoot, my hands won't shake." The team continued to see her as support staff. Useful, reliable, but not a real soldier. They were about to learn how wrong they were. One day, during a rest stop at Rock Point 14, Clara was adjusting her water bottles when a sergeant walked by and noticed her rotating her rifle very quickly, checking the reflection through the scope's mirror. He asked, "Where did you learn to angle like that?" Clara simply replied, "Places where the fog was thicker than gunfire." The cryptic answer left him puzzled, but he didn't press further. Later, a soldier discovered that Clara always carried a small notebook filled with wind measurements, humidity readings, and hand-drawn maps, like those used by veteran snipers. People began to whisper, was she actually a marksman? I heard Clara was dropped from sniper school for health reasons, but her shooting scores were still at the top. Someone said she served in a classified unit before this assignment, but since she never confirmed anything, everyone just let it slide. The speculation grew when Clara demonstrated unusual knowledge during their mountain training. She could read weather patterns like a professional meteorologist. She knew exactly how wind would affect a bullet's trajectory at different elevations. During one training exercise, the team was practicing with binoculars, trying to spot targets at long range. "I can't see anything through this fog," complained one soldier. Clara glanced over. Target is at 2 o'clock, approximately 400 meters behind the third tree from the fallen log. The soldier looked through his scope. "How did you? There's nothing visible from here." Sound reflection. The metal on his equipment creates a specific echo pattern. The team leader looked at her strangely. "Clara, how do you know about sound signature identification?" "You pick things up," she said quietly. But the questions were starting to pile up. Why did she always position herself with clear sightlines during rest stops? Why did she automatically calculate range and wind speed whenever they stopped? Why did her medical supply checks always seem to include counting ammunition? One evening, a curious soldier went through Clara's pack when she stepped away. Hidden beneath the first aid supplies, he found something unexpected, a worn shooting log filled with precise measurements and distances. The handwriting was confident, professional. This wasn't the notebook of someone learning to shoot. This was the record of someone who had been shooting professionally for years. "Hey, look at this," he whispered to his teammates, showing them the log. The entries went back years, different locations, different conditions, different targets. These aren't practice rounds, someone realized. These are mission records. They put the notebook back quickly, but now everyone was watching Clara differently. They're starting to notice. But they still see me as support staff. Maybe that's better. Maybe it's safer for everyone if they don't know what I used to do, what I'm still capable of doing. The team was beginning to suspect that Clara wasn't just a logistics specialist, but they had no idea they were traveling with one of the most skilled marksmen their military had ever trained, and they were about to find out in the most dramatic way possible. On the 5th day of patrol, the main team moved ahead through the mountain pass. Clara was instructed to stay back 15 minutes to organize the medical supplies and check equipment, then follow behind at a safe distance. As usual, they treated her like baggage that needed to catch up later. When the squad reached the narrow rock canyon, they walked straight into an ambush. An enemy sniper was already in position on the opposite cliff, waiting. The first shots cracked through the canyon like thunder. Everyone dropped to the rocky ground. The team leader was immediately pinned down behind a boulder. Nobody dared to lift their heads. "Contact! Contact! Sniper on the ridge!" Someone shouted desperately. "Does anyone have eyes on the target?" No response. The angle was impossible from their position. The sniper had perfect tactical positioning, high ground advantage, clear sightlines down the entire canyon, and the patrol was trapped in a kill zone with minimal cover. "We need to move, but he's got us completely locked down. Where's our designated marksman? Thompson's rifle jammed. Radio for backup support. Backup is 40 minutes away. We don't have 40 minutes. The situation was deteriorating rapidly. The enemy sniper was methodically adjusting his aim, working through potential targets. Dust kicked up near the team leader's head as bullets struck inches away. "He's zeroing in. We need to do something now." "Anyone got smoke grenades?" "Not enough to cover the whole canyon. We're sitting ducks here." Then, crack, a single precise rifle shot echoed from behind their position. Across the canyon, the enemy sniper's scope exploded in a shower of glass and metal fragments. His rifle tumbled down the cliff face as he fell backward. The team thought it was reinforcements arriving. They looked around frantically for the backup squad. But there was no helicopter, no additional unit, no radio chatter. From the rocks behind them, Clara emerged calmly, her sidearm still smoking from the barrel. She spoke with clinical precision. 432-meter shot, 1.8-degree elevation adjustment, right wind compensation at 2.3 seconds. Target neutralized. The entire patrol stared in stunned silence. The woman they wouldn't trust with a combat rifle had just saved all their lives with a pistol shot at impossible range. The team leader found his voice barely above a whisper. "Clara, what the hell just happened?" Standard counter-sniper engagement, elevated position, crosswind at 12 miles per hour, target acquisition through scope reflection. Standard engagement with a sidearm? Clara began field stripping her weapon with professional efficiency that none of them had ever seen before. Austrian Special Forces, Alpine Sniper Division, 3 combat tours in Afghanistan, 74 confirmed long-range eliminations, 2 Distinguished Service Medals. The silence was absolutely deafening. "Why didn't you ever tell us?" Medical discharge 18 months ago. Partial hearing loss from an improvised explosive device. Command determined I could no longer serve in active sniper roles. She paused, inserting a cleaning rod with practice movements. They were right about the hearing damage, but my eyes still work perfectly fine. The soldier who had mocked her most cruelly stepped forward, his face red with shame. "Ma'am, I owe you a sincere apology, and probably my life. You don't owe me anything. I owe all of you safe passage home. That's what I signed up for." The team leader looked at the shattered enemy position across the canyon, then back at Clara. "How long were you tracking him?" "Since we entered the canyon approach. I spotted the scope reflection 15 minutes ago. I was hoping he would relocate or withdraw on his own. And when he didn't, I made the tactical decision that needed to be made. He had a clear shot at all of you. Someone had to take him out." Clara finished reassembling her weapon and holstered it with the same casual efficiency. "We should move immediately. Enemy snipers rarely work alone. There could be additional hostiles in the area." As they prepared to continue their patrol, the team leader pulled Clara aside privately. "Why didn't you request a combat position when you joined this unit? With your background?" Clara looked back at the canyon where the enemy sniper's position was now silent and empty. "Because sometimes the most effective place for a sniper to be is exactly where nobody expects one to be. They wanted to keep me safe by keeping me back. But keeping someone back doesn't always mean keeping them out of the fight. Sometimes it means giving them the perfect position to protect everyone else." CTA comment. Act 3. If someone has ever helped you, and you never got to say thank you, comment, "I owe them." Clara didn't tell the story again. She simply wrote a brief report, 9 lines total. The following week, the team leader requested that she participate in combat training, the first time she was officially invited to shoot at the practice range. She shared her win notebook, teaching the team how to measure distances using fog density, helping the entire squad adjust their aim for night shooting. A young soldier carved a line into the wooden sign at their rest area. The water girl, the only one whose hands didn't shake. They stopped calling her logistics. They started calling her Clara, the one who holds the final shot. The dynamic of the entire team changed. Instead of treating her like equipment, they began asking for her tactical input during mission planning. "Clara, what do you think about this approach route? Clara, can you see any potential sniper positions from here? Clara, what's your assessment of the sight lines?" She became an integral part of the team, not just someone who carried supplies. The respect was evident in small ways. When they set up camp, someone would always make sure Clara had the position with the best view of potential threats. When they planned routes, they would factor in optimal shooting positions. During the next training exercise, the commanding officer noticed the improvement in the team's performance. "Your squad's efficiency has increased significantly. What changed?" The team leader smiled. "We learned not to judge our assets by their job description." Clara continued to carry water, rope, and medical supplies. But now she also carried the knowledge that her team trusted her skills and valued her judgment. Most importantly, she carried the satisfaction of knowing that when the moment came, she had been ready. When lives were on the line, she had made the shot that counted. CTA comment Act 4. Comment, "I will live kindly." If you believe sometimes the person being pushed aside is the one who saves the entire team. Clara didn't shout, didn't demand a different role, didn't ask for a bigger gun. But in the moment when everyone else ducked down, she aimed and fired. We often judge a person's value by their position in the formation, but Clara is a reminder. Position doesn't determine accuracy, character does. The person carrying gear, sharing water, staying quiet, might be someone who trained to shoot in freezing conditions, might be someone who turned down opportunities for personal reasons, but still maintained their skills until the day they were needed. One bullet, one opportunity, one decision, and the entire team stayed safe. Clara didn't need praise, but if anyone she ever saved looked back at their own scars, they would never forget the person who prevented them from getting those scars in the first place. This story matters because it challenges our assumptions about capability and contribution. In every team, organization, or community, there are people whose true skills remain hidden. Not because they're ashamed, but because their current role doesn't require those skills to be displayed. The quiet person in the back might be the one with the steady hands when crisis hits. The support staff might be the one with the expertise to solve the problem everyone else is panicking about. The person you underestimate might be the same person who saves your life. Clara represents the hidden strength that exists in people we overlook, veterans who transition to civilian roles but retain their training, experts who take supporting positions but maintain their edge, professionals who step back from the spotlight but never lose their ability to perform when needed. These people don't announce their capabilities. They don't demand recognition. They simply do what needs to be done when the moment requires it. The next time you see someone in a support role, remember Clara. Remember that titles don't define capability. Remember that the person you're dismissing might be the one who keeps you safe. And remember that sometimes the most important shot comes from the person nobody expected to take it.
If you believe in stories that touch the heart like this, please leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe to LN Steel Heart Stories. We tell the stories that shouldn't be forgotten, because sometimes the person carrying the pack in the back is the one who keeps the entire team from falling. Real people are creating and telling stories, not mass-produced AI.